My name is Ryan. I am an alcoholic. Very grateful to be here and be asked to do this for Alcoholics Anonymous. Scout's honor. I am sober. I attend the Morrison Corrections. We have a group that will go out on Wednesday nights, and I'll be sanding sheetrock and. I get stuff in my eyes, and maybe my eyes ain't as clear as some other people's, but they say, man, and I have that spirit about me. When I'm truly free, and I'm joyous, and I'm enthusiastic, I encourage each and every one of you in early sobriety to have enthusiasm for where you're at. But I go into that prison meeting, and they say, man, first of all, there's this voice that talks to me saying it, and I talked with Wallace after I picked up a year, and he said, you start coming out to prison with us. I said, man, I ain't got I ain't never been arrested. I ain't never got a DUI. I ain't never been to jail. He said, they know how to get in. He says they don't know how to stay out. Perfect sense. Exactly what I need to hear. But I'll attend that prison meeting sometimes. Sure, my eyes are red, and that Scout's honor. Nobody knows if I'm sober. But I know. I'm sober. And anyways, they said, man, you sure you didn't smoke some grass before you came in there? I said, no, man. I said, man, I ain't smoked or drank nothing in years. They said, man, you don't even get high on your birthday. That's alcoholic thinking, right? How do you not get high on your birthday? I just celebrated my belly button birthday, 42 years. I got sober August 21st, 2007, but that's not my sobriety date. It's September 20th, 2008. And I see my sister-in-law back there smiling. See a lot of new faces, a lot of old faces too. It's always like coming home to a meeting. You ain't been here in a while, and it's like, man, there's people in here doing Alcoholics Anonymous. That's what keeps us here. People doing Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's what keeps me here. We've lost some good members, in the recent weeks, and dear to heart, it's not that Alcoholics Anonymous is not working, because we're living proof of that. So. I got a home group, keeping it sober group. I don't attend as many home group meetings as I once did. I was GSR, and the Grapevine rep, and I got to be the correctional facility coordinator for my home group. And I didn't ever do treasury because I don't like having to go make deposits and all that stuff. I filled those positions. And we meet on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Come on and see us. And if anybody's interested in going out to Morrison Correction, there's a couple stipulations, but we'll get you in there. And not to talk about that prison meeting, but I enjoy that Wednesday night because I get locked up away from this crazy world out here. And for those 2 hours, I'm more present where I'm at than probably the better part of the week. Kind of all over the place. I'll just start where I guess I grew up in Pinebluff, lived in this area about all my life. I like to say there was something in the water that made me that way. Surely it's something I'm drinking in the water going to make me an alcoholic. Well, sure, it ain't the water. But that's trying to say it's something other than, my own behaviors. But sure, I really don't want to stay drunk too long. Everybody knows how to drink. I grew up in a good home. I think my first taste of alcohol was a hot Budweiser out of the bamboo patch. We always had forts built out of pine straw and logs, and we smoked cigarettes. We dug pits and put plywood on top and made little cubbies for our cigarette butts we'd take from from my dad, and neighborhood kids. A lot of them didn't have fathers. My father kind of was a father figure to a great many kids in the neighborhood. He's deceased now, and he was an alcoholic. And I remember being a young kid and him. I don't remember him being sober. I think he was sober for a number of years, but saying that David Crockett was his sponsor. And I didn't know what a sponsor was, but I knew it was an important person. I just remember that. And then I remember him drinking. riding down the road with a bush between his legs. We stopped and get a bushel of peaches to take up to my grandpa and grandma up in Uwharrie, and traveling in them old back roads, and him veering off the side of the road and whipping it back on. And it's a little scary as a child. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, being brought up in an alcoholic home, and it's normal to some extent because it's all I know. But I had everything I needed. Absolutely. I know my father loved me and taught me some good things. When you go in the woods, you bring out more trash than when you brought in. And loving mom, bless her heart, there was a pile of clothes outside the laundry room. She would try to keep up. I'm sure I wish she'd have been a little more disciplined, so we learned it's hard having to grow up at age 30-something and take care of yourself, but it's necessary. So I had, like I say, a good childhood. I think it was good. I don't blame alcoholism on anyone. I may have been born with it. I may have acquired it along the way. That rationalization about acquiring it on the way is, man, if I only could have stopped and I could have controlled it, right? I lost all control. Like I say, I drank every opportunity that I had a chance to. Smoked a little grass. Started smoking grass with my dad at an early age. Like I say, this is normal, I guess. This is fun. This is exciting. First time I had the effect of alcohol, I don't think I had a overwhelming sensation. I want to do this for the rest of my life. But all the grown-ups were doing it. I don't know if we stole a bottle of wine, or I'm pretty sure it was wine. And but as I grow older, and like I say, growing up in an alcoholic home, and it's the lifestyle. So every time I get an opportunity to drink, I'm gonna drink. And hang out with the older kids, and first time I really got sick off of alcohol was Bartles and James and Milwaukee's Best and Jim Beam and some cheap hamburgers. It was bad. It was bad. And later on, finally I learned I need to get something on my stomach before I start drinking. I'm not one that consumed large amounts of alcohol, but I drank plenty. Camping out in the woods with the guys, and we bring plenty of alcohol. Somebody would be smart enough to bring a couple sodas and some white bunny bread and some of them red Jesse Jones hot dogs, and we drank ourselves silly, and I wouldn't eat anything, and I'd wake up drinking ourselves, like I say, and then you wake up in the middle of the night, have to crawl out the tent and get the door open to barely get outside, and then here it comes, and I'm gonna do it for y'all. It makes my stomach muscles still hurt today, right? The yellow bowel coming up. That happened to me many times, and later on I had a favorite aunt and uncle went fishing with my older brother Richard M. And we was both drinking, and the wind was blowing, and the rain was coming down, and the fish were biting. And I don't know, I caught this fish, and my younger brother and a cousin were there, and my brother egged me to bite this fish's head off. It's not actually biting the fish's head off, but it's putting your mouth around the fish and pulling his body off. And did that and threw it in the ocean. Boy, I was hungover that next morning. Bad. And my, I think she was my fiance at the time. I've got that yellow bile and I can't keep nothing on my stomach, man. And I'm drinking a little bit of Sprite and a nab just to get something on my stomach to come back up. Y'all know that feeling? Ugh, that's a bad feeling. And she's standing over me and saying, "You got exactly what you deserve." I don't think that was very loving and kind. But she was right. That's what I got, And we fast forward a short time later, and here comes some natural light, and get a little bit in me and a little bit of food, and I'm stirred, and all right, let's do it up again, So I don't, like I say, I just like to drink. I ain't never want to get to this level. I don't think there was ever a shut off at a certain level. If I can just catch this kind of buzz and stay there, it'd be good. Maybe if I had and I'd quit in time, find that happy level and could push a beer away, I wouldn't be talking with you today. I'm wired different. I've got alcoholism, and it means that I'm gonna get mine, and all I wanted to have was a good time. I ain't never set out to hurt nobody. Well, guess what? People got hurt along the way. A lot of people got hurt. I wasn't ever one that would wander off, from the crowd, and y'all know those types. You sitting there at parties like, where's James? And James is walking down the beach somewhere, and everybody freaks out and have to go try to find him. And alcoholism certainly affects those around us in ways that we don't realize. But high school was good. Made it through high school. Didn't skip school much. Not much to say about high school. I did find some of my schoolwork up in the attic. I'm in the middle of moving right now. I ain't been back to my house to clean out all my stuff, but it'd be interesting finding those little archives. But I found some schoolwork, and man, I never really applied myself to nothing. Not in school, anyways. I was one that would breathe about 4, 5, 6 times real heavy, and then if you pinch this there's a vein that runs there. It blocks blood off to the brain, and then you go out and you bam, bam, you start having seizures, self-imposed seizures, and fall on the floor and wake up. But there's a feeling of euphoria. That's alcoholism, man. I'm looking for something, and I wake up and the teacher says, "Won't you go get some water and use the restroom?" So I go out and smoke a cigarette. Y'all are laughing. That's funny. So, is that normal? I don't know. I could rationalize and make anything sound justifiable currently today, right? So I, like I say, high school was good. Grateful I never got into trying that white powdered dry good. I'd catch a buzz off the pot and drink, and I'd feel my heartbeat, and boom, 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 boom. And I was fearing my heart's going to explode, so I never tried any of that other stuff. I used to boast about not trying that white powder, but I never actually had anybody come up to me and say, put it in front of my nose and say, "Hey, Ryan, you want to try some of this?" I kind of kept it hidden. I'm grateful for that. So that's not part of my story. I'm alcoholic all the way. Not that there's any difference. I just know I have a spiritual malady and an allergy to alcohol, and I need to treat it. So fast forward, 18 years old, maybe 17. I get out of high school, and I had worked for these little old widow ladies all my earlier years, and I was one who would save $10, $12, $8, $9, $15 at a time and put it in the savings account. Man, I was great at saving money. by the time I was 15, 16, I had $9,000. And out of high school, I worked carpentry in the summer, and my boss man contractor was going to Alaska, and people said I always talked about going to Alaska, and so here's an opportunity. So we load up in this blue Ford truck. I still see riding down the road, and we head up through Canada. Man, I love Canadians. Anybody here Canadian? All right, well, if you ever meet a Canadian, there's some good people. I met some tree planters out there, and just really good people, man. I had a great experience going through Canada. Y'all ever have an opportunity to visit Banff? I don't know what Providence it is in, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Bought me an axe there, learned how to throw an axe. And we got on up to Alaska, did some awesome fishing, man, unreal fishing. Got to experience a great many things. Hiked into the Denali National Park and got to see brown bears and ate blueberries till it gave me diarrhea. I always had alcohol with me though. Always smoking grass. I ate the rest of my stash before we crossed the line, and smoked hand-rolled cigarettes. So they looked in the ashtray and they emptied all the contents out of our truck, and we made it through fine. Got into Alaska, and like I say, I stayed there through the summer, and the guy I went up with was coming home that end of that summer, and I had a place to stay and I had money, so I said, I think I'm going to try it. I was kind of undecided whether I was going to go back home, because 5,500 miles is a long ways to be from home. But the decision was kind of made for me. The guy ended up hooking up with some girl, and they took off. And I stayed in Alaska. Man, I don't know, there's just something about soaring your royal oats, something like that. So here I am, 5,500 miles away from anyone who knows me. Alcoholic, is very undisciplined. Can y'all agree? So I get to have just a good time and continue to have a good time. I chopped wood in Talkeetna on a farm, and the guy would bring me cases of Rainier beer. Anybody drink some Rainier beer? That's some good beer. I drank a lot of it. And stayed on this farm and ate pancakes and ramen noodles. And y'all know that kind of buffet, don't you? I think we all eat a lot of that stuff. Great time. I once ate a thing of nutmeg about this size right here, because somebody told me nutmeg was a mild hallucinogenic. I tell you, it was hard to get down. Mixed it with applesauce, and it's like, this just ain't working very well. So I don't think I felt any effects off of it, so I wouldn't recommend it. But somebody told me later you're supposed to find it in the nut and grind it down yourself, because when they grind it, it loses its flair. That's alcoholic thinking. Yeah. Something to change the way that I feel. Why do I need to change the way that I feel? I don't know. Many years, do I really know what's going on with me? I'd like to say that I did, but I did not have a clue why I really felt the way that I felt. And some of that stuff certainly comes up when we take the steps that are necessary to recover from alcoholism, and then try to give that to someone else. It's a beautiful thing that happens here. So I stayed in Alaska, and I wrote in a journal up there, and like I said, I had the money, so I go to church on a Saturday, and I get out and I walk the streets of Anchorage, and how we're kind of drawn to people like us. wherever we're at. So I roam the streets of Anchorage, Alaska. It's a pretty big place. And I end up hooking up with the homeless guys, buying us a bottle of vodka, and we're around the fire barrel behind the Fred Meyer's. And it's like in Bill's story, I have arrived. Is that crazy? But I'm with my people. And you know, the only reason I know this story is because I wrote it down in the journal and said, you know, I bought the bottle, so that means I'm going to make sure I get mine. I drank too much and I ended up getting sick, and these guys walked me home. I remember that. Well, I must have remembered something. I don't know about blackout drinking. I don't remember blacking out a whole lot, but I remember there's big sections in my life I can't remember. Like being married twice. You know, I know I've got been married twice because I got 2 child supports. But I wrote in this journal, most of the guys appear to be good folks. You know, they told me not to walk between 24th and 27th Street because the young punks will beat up on the drunks as they stagger by. And most of them appear to be good folks, but you know, a lot of them are alcoholics. Something of that sort that I wrote about these guys, the kettle calling the pot black, that their drinking was bad, and here I am behind the Fred Meyer's around the fire barrel, but I'm seeing it. It's so easier to see it in other people in active alcoholism than to look in the mirror and see my own behavior. You know, I just ain't looking at that. I ain't wanting to see that. Or like I say, I'm 5,500 miles away from my house and nobody to be accountable to. And that was when I was 18, man. And I'm grateful that I had that experience. You know, got out of North Carolina, got to experience that. Stayed there a year and a half. You know, like I say, got into some mess up there. And not legal mess, just wanting to sleep in one girl's grow room, and she kicked me out. So I got to sleep in the van. So hey, I say I'm not homeless. Well, guess what? I'm homeless. Sleeping in a van outside in Anchorage, Alaska. That's homeless. But my grandparents, my grandmother on my mother's side, my great-grandmother, a host of friends, my younger brother, they all came to Alaska. You know, had I not been there, I don't know if they have ever seen it. You know, if you get the opportunity to go, because it's amazing. And they came and picked me up and came on back to North Carolina and ended up marrying my first wife after about 2 years, a year and a half. I didn't come back. I came back and started surveying for my dad, and this ex-girlfriend, my first wife, called from Kansas, and you know, Ryan's gonna try to be a hero. I'm gonna go save this girl from a bad relationship. And sure, went and picked her up and brought her back, and like I said, we lived in my parents' house for about a year and a half, and had plans to get married and conceived a child. I usually share this in my story. You know, we do things in whatever order it comes. Right? We're going to have unprotected premarital sex. Woo! And we're going to conceive a child out of wedlock. And then we're going to decide it's a good idea to get married. And not that that's the wrong reason that it can't work out, but it's not worked out in my experience. I tried it twice. But you know what? I repeated that same old behavior. You know, I'm with a woman now that I care about greatly. I'm not married to her. We have a child, little Fisher, that just turned a year old. Man, he's a cool little dude. It's different being a sober father and raising a child. My daughter Macy was born she just started college at UNC Chapel Hill. I'm a Wolfpack fan, but I love Chapel Hill. I'll go. I hope she gets a slot where I get to go to the basketball game, and y'all might see me on there in NC State red on the Carolina side. Woo! I'm just crazy enough to pull it off, bro. So So the night she was born, the day she was born, man, my life changed. I was there in the delivery room, and she came out, and I was to know and love. That was just so beautiful. I said, "Oh, it is a little girl," and I cried. And I thought the doctor was going to cut off her big toe, man. What a beautiful little creature, man. And here I'm her dad, and I just love that girl immediately. Now, my alcoholism doesn't discriminate where I'm going to drink, so I'm having Bush beers and in the hospital the night she was born. Not that that's bad, or it's just like drinking was a big part of my life, in every aspect of it. So, little Macy Ryan was born, and I don't remember much about those years of my life. I know there was some quarreling with that first wife. And my sponsor coming into Alcoholics Anonymous asked me, "You got two people you greatly dislike?" Yeah. We know exactly who they are. And, well, I'd like you to start praying for those people. And I still continue to pray for her. We have another child, Kyler Scott Mabry. My relationship with him today, I wish it was different. He don't communicate too well with us. I don't know. I love him, but anyways, he was born, and when he was born, he crowed like a little rooster. I do remember that. Didn't wail like a little newborn baby, but he crowed like a little rooster. I'm pretty sure I was drinking that night, and then I'm gonna go home and get some rest, and I'll go home to get some rest, and I'm gonna get drunk and passed out. And like I say, my alcoholism just stays with me. We go forward, and I was gonna ask somebody, "Kelly, will you get me a glass of water? Please." I feel like I got cottonmouth up here. I swear I'm sorry, y'all. I have that marriage lasted about 5 years, and then during that time she wrote me a letter that I remember. She says, "Ryan, I love you. I love our relationship, our family together, but your drinking concerns me." And thank you so much, darling. And I don't ever remember reading that letter and taking it to heart. It's like my drinking concerns you. Well, I'm sorry that my drinking concerns you. I don't think I made any attempts to alter the way that I drank. That came later. That was hard. Y'all ever try to alter the way you consume? Maybe the kids are coming over. That divorce, that hurt me deeply. I don't know how to mourn. I don't know how to take hurt. I drank, and I drowned it, and I tried to numb it. That's the effect that alcohol had for me, a numbing effect. I could have a hard time trying to figure out and juggle. This is a part in the big book. The man would get the most out of life if he only manages well. And I tried to manage well. And I'm so grateful alcohol did for me what it did, because it's like a coping mechanism. It'd be a bunch of burden, and then I'd take a couple drinks, or I'd know that it was in the freezer, or I was going to get it in me, and then I'd a couple drinks, and like, man, why was I making such a hard time about all that stuff? Y'all feel me? Y'all know what I'm talking about? So it worked well for a time. That divorce, like I say, it was hard. And I was drinking heavy, and she dropped the kids off, and I'd put my head out the door and make sure the kids came in. And I vaguely remember them making themselves breakfast. Luckily they were able to make a bowl of cereal. But I claimed to be a great father. Really tried. Not that I was a bad dad. Not that my father was a bad father. I know today he was a sick guy, and I know that I did the best that I could. I have to believe that I did the best that I could. Certainly can't change it, and that I was a sick guy. So, like I say, a lot of drinking in between wife number one and wife number two, quarter yingling and the bars and all that stuff. I never drink and drive. Man, I had to drink and drive. Ain't no way I took my brother to the bar and didn't drink. Yeah, I had to drink. I got home somehow. Is that what you call blackout? I think it is. So I remarried. I have a business partner and hooked up with his sister, and again, unprotected premarital sex, and bam, we got a child, and we get married, and like I say, ain't the right reason, ain't the wrong reason. So we have little Lucas, Lucas Fair in Mabry. What time do I need to stop that, Daniel? About 10 till? Okay. And again, I love my children, and I'm in the delivery room, and it's exciting, man. If y'all have never seen childbirth, it's some raw stuff. I mean, it's raw. It's like it gives you a new respect for the woman's anatomy and birth, how we all came into the world. It's an amazing thing. So I wouldn't miss it. And Lucas comes into the world, and the thinking is, my child is being born, and I'm grateful, but I want to make sure I got enough or something stashed in the vehicle. I'm not going to bring it into the hospital, but I'm going to make sure that if I need to go out and smoke a cigarette, I'm going to have a little liquor out there just to, I don't know, just to have it there. I don't know in this time that I'm so attached to this bottle and that it's really my master. It drives me. So Lucas comes along. That marriage wasn't going too well. Self-centered habits and just not able to communicate. I'm still not a good communicator today. Communication is very important in relationships, don't y'all think? I mean, it's vital, like a liver or a kidney. It's pretty vital to successful, healthy relationships, right? Healthy is the key word there. So the relationship was not healthy, and like I say, people got hurt along the way. I didn't mean to hurt anybody, but to tell this woman that I love her, and then along the same breast to make her feel like a prisoner in her own home, that was never what I set out to do, but that's what I did. And and I slapped her on the butt. I did, and that's a form of abuse. It is. And I was resentful because there was clothes around, there was clutter and dishes, and she's watching Project Runaway, and all this stuff, and and so I slapped her on the butt. She said, you kind of hit me kind of hard. I said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just wanted her attention. Like I say, I'm not a good communicator. Unhealthy relationship. So she took that as early signs of abuse, and I'm so grateful she did. By this time, the first wife had written in our child custody agreement, kids aren't to be exposed to drugs or alcohol, and so now the two wives have befriended each other. Oh my God! And you know what they want to do? They want to fix me. Well, guess what, girls? You can't fix me. I don't even know I'm broken. I don't even know what's going on. I'm just trying to manage the best that I can, but these two women are talking, and she's putting forth that child custody agreement, and This is the only time I can remember in my experience, I'm sure there was, that I told myself I didn't need to drink and couldn't drink because the kids were over. And I understand restlessness, irritability, and there's one other. Discontented? Very discontented with a capital D. I've got everything. I got steaks in the fridge. I got the kids there. I have a loving wife, but it's not enough. So, I'm not supposed to drink, but I tell you what, you try to stop somebody from going and taking a drink when they need a drink. And it can get violent or it can get peaceful, but it's not. If I got it in my mind to go get a drink, I'm pretty much going to go get a drink. So where I identify with the mental is I'm gonna go check the. I'm gonna go to the post office and check the mail. And I'm serious. I'm gonna go to the post office and check the mail. And so you know where I'm going. When I go out to the truck and I put the key in the ignition, I'm already getting a little sense of ease and comfort. That's mental. That is mental because I know I'm going to go get it. I'm on my way. Right? It's mental, man. So so obviously I go get a 12-pack of Budweiser and drink some on the way home, and that's when alcohol works. By the end of my drinking there, you know, I'm leaving my alcohol in the back of the truck, and I've got a fifth of hot Railski vodka in this broken down Ford 150, and I toss my empties in there. A pickup truck's about level with empty beer cans, and I try to recycle my beer cans and put them in bags, and then they deteriorate and they blow all over the road, and I'm rushing out there after I get home from work because I don't want my neighbors to think I got a drinking problem. But I'm coming home from work and I'm checking out my wife inside, and there's always something I gotta go back outside and do. And I go back out and I get that Budweiser and I get the hot Railski vodka. Anybody drink hot Railski vodka? We're not drinking for the taste. And anybody do any of this kind of drinking? We're on tape. I just knelt behind the podium. We kind of keep in secret. You know, who am I hiding from? You know, who am I hiding from? This stuff is oozing out my pores, and you know, I just took a shower, and she says you stink, and like I say, that was an unhealthy relationship. So, like I say, we're seeking a marriage counselor, and he asked me about my drinking. Of course, I lied, 3, 4, 5 beers a night, and she's just, and she's going to go away to the beach for the weekend, takes the kids up to the grandparents' house, and I'm going to go to the UR Mounts and go gold prospecting with some of my buddies. And this is where when alcohol quit working. Because I knew what it felt like and what was going down this time with this wife leaving and the divorce was coming, and I didn't want to experience that again. And I'm up there gold prospecting, and we're drinking it, camped out at night, and guess what? Alcohol quit working. I have to believe that if I went back to drinking today, it would not work for me the way that it once did, because it quit working for me. Because I tell you what, I felt everything coming down, and there was nothing I could do about it except drink more, and it wasn't working. I'm so grateful it quit working. I had to drink up until it quit working. I just had to have alcohol in me or some kind of mind-altering substance to change the way that I feel, and it finally quit working, man. I'm so grateful that it did. And so I go home from that trip, and she calls and says, you need to quit drinking and go through a program recovery, or I ain't coming home. And I said, all right, well, I'll see what I can do. I don't remember what I said, but I remember drinking that last night, and I don't know if it's a spiritual experience or if it's just I was at peace with Budweiser in my hand on a string tied to a log, swinging on a hammock, looking up through the trees. I knew my life was going to be different. I didn't know how or what was going to change, but I knew something was going to be different and it was going to be okay. And I made a mental picture of my heavenly Father and my earthly father, kind of hugging each other, just smiling down this shit-eating grin. My dad get that grin on his face before he's about to do something crazy. But there was a sense of calm and peace that, I can't explain it, but I drank myself to sleep that night, and I woke up the next morning and went out to the back of the truck. It was dark, and I grabbed a Budweiser out of the back, and the street light was coming down. It's like a moment of clarity, man. And I said, pop the top, and then it's like, ask yourself questions, man. I said, Ryan, what are you doing to yourself? And for whatever reason, I poured that Budweiser out on the ground. And I still consider that alcohol abuse, right? Yeah, that's alcoholic thinking. So I poured that beer out, and that was my last beer. And I went to Alcoholics. I actually went to Sand Hills Mental Health and met a kind lady there that helped me get geared up for Alcoholics Anonymous. And, got me a meeting schedule and sent me there. Ann Remington, who I met years and years ago. And started meeting with her once a week. And I came to Alcoholics Anonymous over here in the Aberdeen Wilder building and met my sponsor. And about 3 days sober, and he got me praying for those two people I greatly dislike. And doing service work, shaking hands. We got into the book. We met every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday. Wednesdays were my day, and guess what? My sponsor forgot about me once. When you're early in sobriety and your sponsor forgets about you, it's like, oh, man, me, so sensitive. Currently today. Oh man, what a blessing it's been to come into Alcoholics Anonymous and stay. I'll share this story too. After working the steps and making amends, and I had a friend that passed away, and his brother gave me a couple of his pain medication that weren't prescribed to me, and then my sponsor never told me that you're not supposed to take no pain medication unless it's prescribed to you. So I'm holding him partly accountable. Yeah. So I had these three pills, and I'm attending meetings and all that stuff, man, and I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm not on the outskirts, I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm attending meetings, and I'm working with my sponsor, and I don't know. It's just I took those pills because I'm a carpenter. My back might be hurting. I might just need them, right? But I put them in a cellophane, put them up in the medicine cabinet, and then it's a week or so later, 2 weeks. I don't remember how long it was. I'm sitting on the couch, and the thought pops in my head. Hey, I wonder what those things would do for you. That's alcoholic thinking. Problem centers in my mind rather than in my body. So sure, I say, well, I can go grab one and I'll take it. And they describe it like a warm blanket. Yeah. And this is all right. This ain't alcohol. And so I only had 3 of them, so I had 2 of them left. And I'm going to noon meetings, and some lady over here is sharing about mixing these drugs and dying in her sleep, and I'm just whistling in the dark. Then I'm down to 1 pill. So I'm going to break it in half, so I'll have half for tomorrow, right? That's good alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and take the whole thing out, because half of it ain't going to do anything for me. Man, the thinking just... And then take them, so I'd just be done with them. I didn't go to jail or didn't go back out and drink or anything, but I wasn't even in the conversation over at the Wilder building. And old man Will used to walk with a cane, was a dentist. Some of you remember Will and Clint were out there on the park bench talking about getting some pain medication and dental work, and they weren't going to take any pain. I said, man, I had some and I took them. They said, you did what? I said, yeah, I took them. I started mixing them with sleeping pills. And they said, man, Ryan, you threw away a whole year of sobriety? I'm like, I did what? Yeah, Ryan, you're going to have to pick up a white chip. Now that's fighting words there, boy. What? Man, that's hurting. But the insanity returned that quickly. And if that was a slip, I want to go mess with my ex-lover, alcohol. And I'm on the bottom base of that building and walking up. And old man Will patted me on the back and said, I guess we won't be hearing your story for a while. And I walked up those steps, and I don't know how many steps there are, but by the time I got to the second step, there's ask yourself these simple questions. Says, Ryan, do you really want to have to go back and experience early sobriety again? And it's like, man, I do not want to have to go back and experience early sobriety again. It was a slow recovery. It was a good recovery, but I don't want to have to go back to that kind of pain and isolation, separation from the God of my understanding. So I didn't drink, and I talked to my sponsor, and he said, I want you to pick up a white chip. So I could see where the steps had played out in my life, and by this time, in the third step, if I've really turned my will and life over to the care of God, then this is no big deal. So if anybody's got a dirty chip out there holding in your pocket, nobody knows what's going on in your head, but there's some freedom. There's some real freedom here in Alcoholics Anonymous. Man, got to swallow you. The pride will kill you in here, man. Come clean. Man, the weight's lifted. So I picked up that white chip, man, and my recovery's been catapulted into the sixth dimension, man. I love that prison work. I love working with guys. Not a whole lot of them stay sober. I have a whole lot of experience in working with others, though. And like I say, I have a great life today. And I owe it to Alcoholics Anonymous and to the men and women in this meeting and other meetings that have taken their time to share with me what someone else took time to share with them. So I guess I'm out of time, and I thank you so much for asking me. And man, I love you guys. I love you. And I think sometimes the hardest thing for an alcoholic to do is let other people love them. So I'm going to try to let you love me too. Thanks for letting me share.